Mama. I'm Courtney Cecil, proud mom of two boys and an organizational culture and behavior change executive. And I'm a believer in building a movement to help the burned out, overwhelmed working moms reclaim their control and free time so that they can confidently remain in the workforce without losing the sanity or themselves. Now, let's get started.
Hey y'all, I'm your host, Courtney Cecil, and welcome back to another snack-sized episode of the Life Management System. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the 5 ways that you can manage your health during the holidays and still be a tad bit gluttonous and enjoy the heck out of it. So I am coming off of my 40-year, that is, birthday in Aruba. I spent 5 glorious days with my best friend from college and am a little bit in the need of a health reset. But I figure that I'm not alone in that. I hope that many of you are also letting it go a little bit in the holidays, letting yourself enjoy it. But at the same time, I am hoping that, like me, you're also not going to let it all go and have that much harder work come the new year. So if you're in the same camp I am and you want to be able to have a little bit of fun, but still a little bit of control, then this podcast is for you. So the first and the very obvious topic is around calorie management. So there are a couple key ways that you can still enjoy those special treats while still managing your core calories. So the first, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I'm sure you hear it all the time, but chances are, I tell my boys this actually, chances are if you think you're hungry, you're probably thirsty, try to give yourself water first before you eat. And the more that you have water in you, the less likely you are to want to fill yourself with calories because you're already full with water. The second around that same topic of calorie management is if you imbibe like I do. I am a huge sparkling wine lover. It is my go-to 90% of the time. It's either that or mezcal. I'm a big mezcal fan too. But I try to backfill every other glass with a glass of sparkling water. First of all, sparkling water will fill you up because it has the bubbles in it. Second, it allows me to feel a little bit fancy because you can put lime in it or, do whatever it is you want to make it fancy. I always actually pour it directly in my wine glass. It just something about holding the glass makes me feel like I'm still part of the party. Another thing that I do is I try to replace foods with lower calorie versions so I'm able to indulge without the really steep penalties. So, as an example, I love apple pie. I'm not a dessert person. I will enjoy it every now and then, but it's not calories that I need most of the time. But I do love pumpkin pie and I really love apple pie. But instead of making a pie crust on the top that is completely full, I can make a pie crust for the top with a lattice and it kind of like a checkerboard almost. So it's not quite as I get a good amount of the pie, still doesn't have a top to it. And I get enough of the crust on the bottom to go without it. So that's what I mean. Like, how can you find shortcuts where you still are able to eat some of your favorite foods, particularly those that are a little bit more gluttonous, without quite as much damage. And part of it is also just eating in moderation. I mean, we know that. I'm assuming that most of my audience is sub 20. So if that's the case, we know that. Um, okay. And the other is I just want you to have fun. Like I want you to be able to grant yourself some grace, enjoy the things with no shame, enjoy the things with no guilt. Like get gluttonous with it. And when you do, know that there's plenty of ways to enjoy and still not lose total control. So if that is you though, if you are having a little bit more fun and you need help getting back on the wagon, I have a healthy habits guide that will break down for you many wellness, mental health, physical health type ideas that will allow you to slowly build in healthy habits and get you back on track. And you can get that at www.workingmomsmovement.com/healthy-habits. I will also drop that in the show notes. Okay, so the next thing in ways that you can keep your health in check during the holidays, it's keeping a consistent bedtime. So again, that's not a surprise. Like it's a no duh kind of comment. But in order to keep a consistent bedtime, it means you have to have certain affairs in order. So, as an example, my dear Santa Clauses out there, you cannot procrastinate because if you procrastinate, it will leave you struggling to get things done in the last minute, which will lead to insufficient sleep. So, if that's you, if you are a procrastinator, if you haven't gotten my time wasters guide, I will also link that in the show notes. But procrastination is one of the bigger reasons that we end up spiraling and causing stress for ourselves. So don't procrastinate. Get the shopping done now. Get the um, meal prep done now. Get the decorating and get all the things done now so that way you can actually keep your consistent bedtime routine. Okay, the third, once again, not a surprise, is around encouraging yourself and your family as a whole to remain active. And again, no duh, but how might you do that? Help your future self now by going ahead and finding 10-minute workout episodes that are super easy to fit in. Maybe you don't even need to put on shoes for it. For me, when I was learning to love to work out again after having kids during the pandemic, the way that I was able to get back into it is Pilates. It was like an at-home bar Pilates kind of class. And the reason I was able to do that is because they were 25-minute episodes and I didn't have to put on my shoes. And I know that feels absolutely ridiculous to say, but something about not having to strap on my shoes made it less intimidating to work out. It was like it removed one barrier of entry from it. So find a 10-minute workout episode now that you can keep in your back pocket. It makes it more likely for you to actually do it when given the chance. Also, wear your sneakers. I know I just talked about not wearing your sneakers if that's intimidating to work out, but wear your sneakers around the house. Reason being, when you're wearing your sneakers, it kind of keeps you in active mode. It keeps you in what I call GSD mode, get shit done mode. Like, so it keeps you on your feet a little bit more. Whereas if you aren't wearing shoes, you're just in socks, you're probably going to curl up on the couch. It's a lot more tempting. I really hate having my shoes on the couch. So if I'm wearing them, I'm inherently going to be on my feet. Okay, the fourth, again, another no duh, is around managing your stress. Managing your stress will keep you healthy. I, trust me, have been through a lot of work here. I had chronically high cortisol levels before. I'm finally getting stress under control too, but I've worked really hard on it. So, along that vein, if you did not get to tune in to episode 15, it was the last one. In that episode, I talked about 10 practical, I mean, super practical tips to help manage your stress during the holidays. And I'll give you like a sneak peek, like about how simple they were. One was around employing your high school neighbor to wrap your gifts for you. Things that you can give away or that you can not do or do to make your life easier. So go check that out if you weren't able to see it. Um, the second thing to think about when as it relates to managing stress is don't overcommit here because when you overcommit on obligations, it inherently leaves everybody spinning. And we already, this is the one time a year that we don't have structure. I want you to enjoy not having that structure in your house. It's been a long semester. Fall is hard, especially now that it is dark, especially, here in the United States and getting darker almost everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. It gets hard enough as it is. Like, I want you to be able to enjoy that lack of structure and the lack of not having obligations. So I really go pretty far as it relates to that idea. And I tell my friends anytime it's time to plan something, I'm like, I'm not leaving my house in December. I will gladly host though. I love when people come to me and over the Christmas holiday, especially. I love, love, love Christmas. I decorate big. I'm pretty freaking jolly. Elf has been my favorite movie for many, many years. But even though it's funny, even though Elf is my favorite movie for Christmas, my favorite actual Christmas movie is probably While You Were Sleeping. If you haven't seen it, it's one of Sandra Bullock's originals. Love While You Were Sleeping. But anyway, I digress. Okay, getting back to it. I don't like to leave my house in December. I like to enjoy it. I'm on the go all the freaking time. This is the one time I just want to sit there and like look at my pretty lights and be cozy and snuggle up under a blanket with my family. So I try not to leave. That overcommitting is such a gift for me because as somebody who chronically is scheduled, I really embrace the slow life or the hygge life, if for any Danish friends out there in December. Okay, so another way to manage stress is to manage your relationships with your kids. And what I mean by that, it's not necessarily like you would an adult where you are leaning in as a friend or protecting the relationship. What I mean is that kids are anxious during the holidays. They are spun up, they are wound up about with all the sugar and with all the excitement. So you need to treat them kind of with kid gloves. That saying exists for a reason. You need to treat them delicately. So, examples of what that might look like is telling them, hey, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes of playing tablet, then you need to turn it off. So, communicating those expectations allows them to anticipate what's around the corner and keeps the lack of sleep or the sugar rush from completely tanking their mood and giving you a sour reaction. So, communicate expectations to them in order to help them process and therefore manage their stress, which is going to inherently help you manage yours. Also, it goes without saying as it relates to managing stress, double down on self care. This is the time to take care of you too. You are busy taking care of everybody else, take care of you. Schedule in whatever fun it is for you, buy a special bottle of wine, like binge on your Hallmark movies if that's your thing, or Hallmark shows. I guess that's shows or movies. I don't know. I clearly clearly don't watch the Hallmark stuff. But regardless of what it is for you, schedule that in. Make sure it happens. Like you deserve to enjoy this too. Okay, last number 5 on the list. I want you anticipating your own needs. So this is the one that kind of sits outside the box a little bit. The first 4 are pretty obvious. It's just hopefully the details that I gave you that will make you think a little bit differently about how to manage them. But for number 5, I want you anticipating your own needs, and because that's going to help you enjoy it too. It's also going to help you keep some of those healthy habits. So I want you doing things like pre-planning what it is you're going to eat for lunch or preemptively finding healthier replacements for some of your more gluttonous foods. Also, tell your partner how they can help. I don't know about you, but I tend to be fairly good and disciplined until I'm surrounded by my husband who is enjoying a glass of wine. Or, oh my goodness, coming out of Halloween, we had a lot of the Reese shapes. Love them, but peanut butter has a very potent smell. So I could not, like, even if I was trying to be good, because I was trying to get ready for Aruba body, I had a hard time doing it because he's wafting all of this peanut butter smell all around me. So tell your partner how they can help. Um, for me, the one healthy habit that I'm going to try to adopt is creating mimosas. I don't know how you would even call it, like I don't know, sparkling water and OJ. So it's you can't even call that a mimosa, but I don't know, something about the fresh OJ. Fresh OJ makes such a difference. I will hand squeeze if I have to. Same thing with grapefruit. I will hand squeeze if I have to. Something about that makes me feel a little bit fancier. It makes me feel like I'm not missing out as much. So I'm trying to do that. I'm also trying to not start with my first drink so early in the day. Because what I notice is if I start at noon, I'm going to be drinking all day. But if I don't start until 4 o'clock, it actually saves me quite a bit of calories and keeps things in check a little bit more. Okay, so my hope for you moms is that you enjoy the slower pace, you enjoy the lack of structure. Me, in addition to enjoying not having to travel for Thanksgiving, which I tend to do, I'm excited to sit with the family. My in-laws are coming to visit from DC, and we intend to spend most of Saturday sitting by the fire outside watching sports or sitting in the hot tub watching sports. I am a huge Virginia Tech Hokies fan. And as many of you in the college sports football world know, it is rivalry weekend. So we are playing the University of Virginia. It is a favorite tradition of ours to tailgate at home during that game. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, again, to wrap this up, um, if you are interested in doubling down on creating minor micro habits that will help make your life healthier long term, then check out my show notes or go to www.workingmomsmovement.com/healthy-habits. Inside that, I break down very, very, very small snack size habits you can implement that will help you get incrementally better. So check that out. I'm hoping you'll learn something new from there. It is the conglomeration of 10 years worth of thinking and intentionality that I've put into myself to turn me into who I am today. Okay, friends, I feel like I can still ask this as my birthday present since my birthday was just a couple days ago. But for my 40th, can you do me a huge favor? Can you share this with a friend? Can you subscribe to it? Can you rate and review this podcast? That's what's going to make this successful. That's what's going to help all the algorithms start giving me a little love. Okay, happy Thanksgiving for those of you in the US that are celebrating. Until next time, friends, if nobody's told you lately, you're doing a great job. You've got this, Mama.